And welcome to PM Personality Profile. My name is Nana Ansakwa the Fourth, and once again the weekend is here, and I'm doing what I do best. I am bringing through the magic of television to your house a personality, somebody whose story is worth emulating, or there's a seed in there which we can all take, sow, and hopefully blossom to become a big tree. Now, this lady has silently, in her own way, contributed immensely to education. And today I just want to fish her out of wardrobe, if I should say, and bring her out, share her story, so we can all celebrate her. Folks, after the break, I'm bringing you Mrs. Elizabeth Eson Benjamin. Don't move. Well, thank you very much for staying, and I hope by now you all sat down quietly and waiting to hear that life story. I mean, I think the personality profile has become the biggest of all the PM series, and I get the most comments out of it. And you know what? I'm going to get even bigger comments out of this. And if you have any child that's about to do university or something, you get them by the television, because this is directly for them. But for the purposes of the interview, she's going to be Auntie Lizzie. Auntie Lizzie, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And let me quickly add that she's also a board member of the Multimedia Educare program. So before you get any scholarship from us, you know, she has to vet you to see if you're qualified or not. And the CEO of Cooper Studies International. Cooper Studies International, you get it. If you're going to study abroad too, come to our office. She assesses you and says, you know what, Nana Ansakwa, Birmingham University will suit you because of what you want to perceive. But we're going to go all the way back many years ago when you were growing up. Because I've had a little chat before. I see you're very principled, you know. Was your father a teacher?
My father wasn't. He was an ordinary civil servant.
I see.
Yes, and he worked for Ghana government from the beginning of his life to the end of it. So he wasn't a teacher. My mother started as a teacher. But, you know, in those days, just when she was about to go to training college, then marriage came. And the Reverend Sisters in St. Monica School, who had tipped her for a good teacher, had to say goodbye to her.
Oh dear.
So maybe a little teaching that she did, she passed it on to her children. And it's possible I caught a bit of it.
A lot. A lot of it.
Yes.
A lot of it.
Yes.
Was he a big did you have a big family?
Well, I was born, you mean
I mean, like siblings and stuff?
Siblings.
Yeah.
8. I'm number 6.
Okay.
Of 8 children. 4 boys and 4 girls. And then, but I didn't meet one as a child.
Okay.
One was passed at birth. So 7 of us.
I always ask, was it
four of us alive now.
Okay. I always ask, was it a struggle? I mean, being number 6, you know, you need to really.
I don't think it was.
Okay.
Because you know, my mother taught us seniority rule.
Oh.
So everybody knew who comes first in any order of things. So there was nothing like going to infringe on your senior sibling or your younger siblings' rights or anything. There was equality and justice and the rest of it.
She must have been a strong woman.
She was. She was.
She must be a strong woman. Because
my mother was. She was. I'm still very proud of her.
That's nice. That's nice. Because I know, even though she may have her rules, kids would always try and, you know, see how far they can put, but to make it work, it means, you know, you're always on there.
Yes, because she, you know, she passed 15 years ago. but every day I see her as my role model.
Wow.
And because the things she passed on to us were so good in principle, I go through them now and I see that she really taught us some good things. The key one being that when it comes to bringing up children, there shouldn't be anything like discrimination. Wow. I like this one, I don't like this one. Because she says that's what her mother taught her.
And she passed
And I
on.
saw my grandmother, so she was as good. Yes.
What did the family grow up in Accra or?
As a child, I remember living with my parents in Cape Coast, and then my father was transferred to Koforidua, and he left us, or they left us. He went to Koforidua first. I think my mother went a year after, and then they left 5 of us. You know, 2 of my senior brothers, and then 3 of us girls with our grandparents. So we were in Cape Coast for a while. I started school in St. Monica's School. That's we'll talk about St. Monica's later. Very good school. And then later on, when they settled in very well in Koforidua, we joined them. So to a large extent, I would say that I'm a Koforidua person.
I see.
Because I went to primary school there, middle school there, and when I came to secondary school in Cape Coast, my parents still lived there. They lived there till my father died 20 years ago, and my mother 15 years ago. So Koforidua, born and not born, but
bred.
Bred.
I
Yes.
see. So you see, we have a
Yes.
Koforidua flower
Yes.
right here.
Yes.
but where are you from?
From Elmina.
Okay. Okay.
75% Elmina.
Okay.
And then 25% Ikropone Kwapim.
I see.
That's my paternal grandfather.
From Akropong.
Was from Ikropone Kwapim.
You see, my mother's from
Yes.
Akropong too. So.
Yes. So since my father left, we try to keep in touch with some of the Newmans there.
I see.
You know, because they think that they are the authentic Newmans.
But the Newmans are
so.
largely opposite my house.
Oh, I see.
See now.
So, you know the late Queen Mother, Sechiabia, before Nana Dokua came, was my father's direct aunt.
Okay, that was before my
Yes.
time, but yeah.
So that's it.
Oh, you're royal blood too.
A tinge of Ekwapim plus Elmina. My mother is also from Elmina, 100%.
I think we all agree it must be the perfect combination. I mean, Fanti and Ekwapim, it doesn't get more polite than that. It does not get more polite than that.
I
But what I
see
find
what you mean.
interesting is, you know, I have Wesley Girls High School and I have St. Monica's, but you are, you know, say, oh, I'll talk about St. Monica's.
St. Monica's, because I started school there, 1955.
Okay.
And I remember St. Monica's because of the way the place was. I even remember the teachers.
Wow.
Outstanding teachers. And the headmistress was an Anglican Reverend Sister. As a child of 6 years, I remember her. She was called Sister Dorothy.
Must have made an impression.
And her name always went with OHP. So I kept asking my mother, why is Sister Dorothy called Dorothy OHP? Until I grew up and I learned that that was the name of the order she belonged to, the Order of the Holy Paraclete. Yes. And she ran the school, I remember, I mean, impeccable surroundings. I remember St. Monica girls, always impeccably dressed, and we had a beret, you know, that we used to wear because of the sun, you know, when it was sunny. And my sister, senior sister was there. Two of my senior sisters were there. So I always felt, and my class 1 teacher was a relative of mine.
Ah, so you felt at home.
So it was a place. I don't know what has become of the place now, but it was a fantastic place to start schooling.
Amazing that as much as kids will say they hate discipline, they always remember institutions that discipline them.
That is true. And St. Monica, as I'm saying, was, I wouldn't say it was, there was any rigidity with discipline there, but everything fell into its proper place. Maybe the kind of students they enrolled there, I don't know how selective they were, but everybody was good. Anyway, my mother taught there before she got married.
Okay.
Yes. And some of her pupils were male.
Okay.
Male pupils. Because in those days, they agreed to mix some few guys with the girls. It was a girls' school, anyway.
I see.
So, yes.
Did you ever teach there?
I didn't. No, not at all. I didn't go anywhere near there.
Maybe you should have. Giving back to them what they gave you.
Yes, it's true. I agree with you.
So from St. Monica's to Wesley Girls?
St. Monica's, no.
No?
Kofredwa.
Ah.
We moved to Kofredwa and Methodist school. Primary school. You see, I remember things, my childhood days, things more than any other time. I don't know why, but I remember going to Methodist school. I remember my master, we used to call them master, that's head teacher. Always very well dressed, disciplined, and he was the best anybody could think of. And then moving to middle school, my headmistress. Then in middle school, they separated us. The boys went to boys' school and we went to girls' school across the road. And that was also a good school by any standard, And so in Form 2, my uncle promised that he wanted to take me to Mofretu.
Okay.
Yeah, because I asked my mother, why did he single me out for that? And she said, Uncle said he wanted me to end up in Wesley Girls. And I realized it was true. At the end of my stay in Mofretu, almost the bulk of us made a beeline to Wesley Girls. So Uncle's plan was good.
Okay.
And that was 1 year experience in Mofretu.
That was the GIS back then?
Come again?
So that was the GIS back then?
Yes. And I also remember Mofretu vividly. It was a circular structured arrangement, the small houses in a circle. House 1 to house 9.
Okay.
I think house 9 was at the back, but the 8 were in a circle. And the headmistress she was strict. Miss Usua she was very strict, but she was good. She was very good. So as you said, you resent authority and discipline for nothing. It's what does you good at the end of the day.
And you never forget it.
Yes.
I'm going to take a break here, and then when I come back, want to find out, even though I've asked so many times, how come, I'm sure today if you were to go to the same Methodist school in Koforidua, your chances in life may be slimmer than they were then. What is it that we're doing wrong? Don't move. Right. Anyway, folks, thanks for staying tuned, but conversation behind the scenes, it turns up I'm home anyway, talking to my mom. Well, my mom was only a year behind Auntie Lizzie at Mofretu, so hey, by virtue of that, I am a son.
She was a stately lady, even then.
Well,
She was.
I'll let her know when I see her.
Yes, she was. That's how I remember her, you know. And
well, before the break, I was wondering, you know, since you're an educationist, where is it that we're going wrong that now you have to be educated in, you know, really prime areas before your chances, you know, go up? Because back then, the geography didn't matter so much. You know, you could just go through, oh, I did Kofodia Methodist and that's it. What are we doing wrong?
Definitely something must have gone wrong. I think it started with the advent of the international schools. You know, during our time, Penworth School came up. Penworth. I don't know if it's still in existence, but it was in somewhere around Odoko. And it emerged as maybe one of the first international schools that people sent their children to. GIS was in place because in my class in Wesley Girls there were 2 people from GIS, and Penworth, I think a couple of people came in from Penworth, but the large majority of us were Saito people. And I'm talking about quality Saito. Saito that my mother and my father attended and wrote impeccable English, you know, till they died. Saito. And earlier on I mentioned about my schoolmaster. Yes, I mean, if you have people like that running schools, there would be no problems. But you see, the other side of it is numbers. Since our population went up, maybe we have not planned things to go side by side with it. So, too many people in a Saito school, and then those who could afford to pay more would send their kids to international schools. So by and by, as the international schools multiplied and the Saito became too much of a mass thing, and fine detail was lost, you know, to everything done there. And so how could they compete with people from international schools? The churches themselves ran international schools. Some churches did run international schools. If you take where my children went, Bishop Bowers School was one of the bishop schools. They call them Christ the King, Bishop Bowers, St. Bernadette, Madonna School in Koforidua, and then the other one in Kaneshi, St. Teresa's. Those were parochial international schools, and people really patronized them because their quality was good. So I think by and large it was a matter of you know, the big local Saito schools losing their fine touch, and so they couldn't face the competition. And it followed like that.
So it will be a clear case of demand and supply. If we had caught up with more schools as the population grew, could we have reduced that gap a bit?
Doing that would mean also training teachers, same volume of teachers to handle. In primary school, I don't think we were more than 30 in a class, and middle school too. But later on, it got out of hand. So many people it's moved on into the secondary schools. You know, overpopulated streams in the form. So when we went to Wesley Girls, 96 of us, I remember very well, 3 streams, J, M, and S. J was for junior, usually those who were born after 49 or just at the edge of it. And then M was the middle bit, you know, those of us who hit 13 in the year we entered secondary school. And then the S, they were more senior, you know, because most of them came from elementary school Form 3.
Okay.
And there was maturity over them. And in those days, school, my schoolmates, colleagues used to say that our headmistress, Miss Garnett, I'm sure you've heard her name before, did not like bringing young people, very young people, into Wesley Girls, because she saw that those who came from the Saito background, including Mofetro, were more matured. And so at the end of the first year, it showed. I mean, even among ourselves, we could see those in S, most of them were bricks, you know, and where had they schooled? Our first girl, Eunice went to Agogo boarding school. The first girl in my class was from Bagabaga school in Tamale, you know, Southerner anyway, but she went to school in. And then the second best was also schooled in Tamale. So as you rightly said, in those days, my brothers would come home and talk about their mates from the north, Kilby and all those people. So it was from everywhere. You know, they came in from everywhere, going through the same Saito and common entrance thing. But I think things changed, and we haven't been able to catch up very well with the. We have not been able to manage that change properly, if I may put it that way.
After Wesley Girls, you went to Hartford, or you did Legon before Watford?
Legon before, yes. After Legon I did a general arts degree. And then, you know, just as I mentioned earlier on, to be honest with you, by the time I left Legon, I didn't have any clear career path in my mind. I was, other than knowing that I didn't want to be a teacher, which I ended up being anyway at some point, I didn't have anything in mind. I'm being very honest here. So I started from broadcasting, a stint, and then joined an advertising agency. That's what took me to Watford to do a postgraduate diploma in advertising. I liked it. The experience was good. The exposure was good. And after Watford, came back home, and in those days it was like what I had gone to study was not very attractive, you know, because of scarcity times in those days. It was a seller's market. So if you've gone to, whilst in Watford, I did marketing, CIM. I should have written my last paper, but I didn't, you know, because I had to come home. And so I had gotten into advertising and marketing of some sort. And I came back, but it wasn't too useful to me, because the people didn't even have things to sell.
I know, we're queuing up for bread.
Yes, and it was so bad. And by some coincidence, I got married, you know, around that time. And my husband was in Kumasi. And my parents were not supportive of this lizard type of marriage, one sticking here, one sticking there. So I had to go to Kumasi. As soon as I got to Kumasi, he was put on expert duties in Sierra Leone.
Oh dear.
Yeah. And that was a bit disruptive for me because when I went to Kumasi and I decided to go and teach, and I taught in Martin's alma mater, Opokwari School, which is a stretch of my life that I really enjoyed, you know. And the only thing I didn't like about that stretch was that there was discrimination in pay if you were not a trained teacher, professional trained teacher from Cape Coast in those days, only Cape Coast. Then they paid you people, you were a graduate pupil teacher. I said, this won't wash. So as soon as they sent Martin to Sierra Leone, after a while, I said, let me take the opportunity to go to Cape Verde. So I went to Cape Verde and learned to become a teacher proper. You know. Then after Cape Verde, we went back, Martin came back and we went to Kumasi. But by fate or whatever, he was posted to Lever Brothers in Tema, which was a completely different ball game.
So after Cape Verde, you didn't even go back to teach again?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I did briefly. I continued at Opokwari.
Oh, Opokwari, okay.
But that was when Martin
Did they review your paycheck, though?
Come again.
Did they review your paycheck?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. They did funny things there. So when he came here, I said, okay, I had to follow, and we came. But those were the revolution days, no transport. And I was so used to being picked by the school bus in Kumasi and taken to school and dropped back home. So when I had to go and look for schools around my area, and I don't want to mention those schools, 2 of them. And the first time I visited the school, the first one, I didn't like what I saw. It was classes time, and students were all over the place, chatting, doing. I said, I haven't seen this before, not in my Wesley girls, and not in Opokwari. Please, forget it. And I didn't go back. I didn't go back to see the headmaster. So that was the end of my teaching. But those were rough times, you know, in Ghana. So, and my children had started coming. So I decided to stay home and look after them.
But you stuck with education, in a way.
Yes. You know, what happened was when I stayed home, because of mobility difficulties and the character of schools here, you know, I did other things. As I said, my children had come, and I thought it was equally important bringing them up properly.
Two boys, 2 girls?
1 boy, 2 girls.
1 boy, 2 girls.
And it paid off. So eventually it did. So in 1990, thereabouts, Martin returned to Kumasi, and then I said, let me see what I can do with myself. No, he had come to Accra to Lever Brothers.
Okay.
And I said, I'll see what he was in those days. He had to go around looking for fax machines to to send their telex machines, and he got me a job in an office where they did those things.
Telex.
I
don't know if some of
you
don't even know what telex is.
So telex, fax machines.
So well before WhatsApp.
And those things. So we carried on like that until he was posted to Nigeria on expert duties again, a bigger position. And I didn't have to go to live in Nigeria. because my kids were at a stage I didn't want to disrupt their schooling here.
Anyway, let me just interject. I mean, do your kids also say, "Oh, mom is too disciplined," or "Mom is too principled"?
Well, they thought so in their heads, but now they tell me exactly how they felt about me in those days. But they know that it was good.
Good
Everything I did to them was good, well intentioned, if I may put it that way.
Sure.
So that's what happened. I said, well, let me work there for some while. When he went to Nigeria, I was visiting him regularly. Then I met some friends of his, corporate friends they were, who were dealing in corporate gifts, you know, big time. Big time. One wanted to team up with me to set up here. But eventually I started doing it on my own. And remember, I had an advertising background, a marketing background.
So you know how to push it.
I pushed well, very well. I did well. Hard work. My driver used to tell me, Ma, you work hard too much. I said, well, that's life.
I'm going to take a break here. Then when I come back, we'll look at the business and also we'll look at Cooper International Studies and move. Well, thank you very much for staying, and we're going to go to do the important bit. We're going to talk about Cooper International Studies. I'll just briefly run through the gift business and then go to Cooper, because I am interested in Cooper.
Right.
So you were doing your gift business. So what did you do? Just parcel and send you?
You know, my husband went to South Africa once with some friends, you know, and he met some people who had gone to do college student scouting in South Africa. And one of them told Martin's friend that, you know, we're looking for someone in Ghana to do this with us. And so the friend said, Martin, I think your wife can do this very well because she goes around a lot. That was when I was selling corporate gifts. And he said, because of the way I know my way around, he thinks I can do well. And when he came and told me, it sounded a good idea, because after all, it would be a combination of selling and education matters combined. So we started in June 1995, 20 years now, and started recruiting for the UK universities, basically, and some colleges, but with some partners. But as we did that vigorously for many years. And then at some point, the contract came to an end. And I said, I will continue on my own. And that's what I've been doing till now.
I see. So basically, I'd come to Cooper and say, look, I want to go to America to study, or I want to go to London to study, and then you sort of guide me through. How does it work?
Yes. Two things I make very clear from inception. One, studying outside your own home is a very expensive thing. And scholarships are not that easy to come by. So if you don't have private sponsorship, then don't waste your time on anything. Because you can apply to a school, they will give you an offer, they'll be very responsive, but at the end of the day, you need a visa to travel. And if you don't meet the conditions of the visa, you've just wasted your time and any agent's time. So I make that very clear. Sometimes they will go and think about it and come back. Sometimes they understand the message so clear. Then the whole idea of placing people into schools outside it's a pigeonhole arrangement. You have this kind of academic strength, you have studied this, you want to study what is coming, it is possible for you to do so. Or, using the common example, I want to study medicine, and you're looking at your O-level grades of about with B's, and so I'll tell you that, technically it won't be possible, because it's so fiercely competitive to get into medical school, for instance, that if you have not nurtured certain grades dating back, shortlisting alone will take you out. So sometimes when you explain to them, somebody wants to work in a hospital situation, in a health organization, so they pick another option. The parents don't understand why their ward cannot do medicine. I'm just using that as one example. But some take advice. The whole truth is, some people take advice, others don't. And whatever advice we give them is the truth. We don't bend, we don't encourage them that some rules will be bent for them at the end of the day. So when you forthright with them, then they know that at the end of the day, you are trying to help them, and they cooperate.
Let me come in here. You see, I find within our jurisdiction is that, sorry, we just want the grade A students to automatically pursue their medicine, rather than people who are empathetic and genuine and loving and care about people. Just, oh well, he's good at physics, chemistry, biology, so that's it, go and be a doctor. I don't know if you need that empathy as well.
It's all because of it's a supply and demand thing. You see, few places and many people chasing after the few places. So somebody is capable of studying medicine, but cannot get in. So if you have, say, 4 A's at A level, of course, your chances of being shortlisted is higher than someone with an A, 2 B's, and a C. See, that's how it works. So in the long run, in the final analysis, it's like those who had the best grades who get in. But you are right in saying that they may not necessarily be carved for medical practice. So that's for the professors to decide. And I think they do so through the medical school interview.
Okay.
Yes, I don't know about Ghana, but I think ours will be the same. If you go to the other side, it's a medical school, interviews are phenomenal.
Wow.
Yes, people get coached for it, but they still will be able to detect whether your intentions for studying medicine are not just because you had good grades, but other things. Because let's face it, someone is scared of blood or dead bodies. How does the person get into a medical situation at that level? So you are right in saying that the high grades people get there, but there are ways of
fishing them
telling
out.
Who should really get into medical place.
This also will be in your field, and that's undergrads, where I think the counseling is a bit low here.
Yes, I didn't know until we started the multimedia screening, the Educare screening. Then we realized that most students didn't have any extra curricular benefits to use. And say 2 people were at par, and you wanted to interview and see who qualified better. They all ended up telling that it was a revelation that they don't have time for anything other than their textbooks.
Wow.
Textbooks, you know. So in our own way, we started telling them that they should try and look beyond their textbooks, because that's the only way to expand your horizons and other things. So, and then it also became obvious that the counseling supporting what they are studying is not there. And the schools may argue, but that's what the students tell us. They haven't received. Otherwise, if you want to study architecture, for instance, you should know that architecture, to a very large extent, is a creative thing. If you don't have a creative mind, creative skills, you can't go into architecture. The other extreme side of it is the mathematics, you know. But then I know a joke that says, you come to us with your creativity. When it comes to calculating, the civil engineers will help you. The structural engineers will help you to do that. So that is how it goes.
But then it would be very awkward to say, I want to do creative art and mathematics.
Yes. You see, the schools should be open-minded about these things, because that's the awkward combination for architecture. You need to be creative, but you also should be able to calculate your creativity into realism. Yes.
Your load-bearing structures.
Yes. So it's a timetable thing. If somebody wants to do architecture and then go through the visual arts stream, it should be possible for them to add mathematics to his or her electives. But the point is, there's an erroneous view. I stand to correction that those who are pushed into visual arts are the non-performers. And I think it's not a fair thing at all, because in other places, creativity is a big thing.
You made one point when we were talking before the interview that we should encourage private universities to do a bit more of the sciences too.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of marketing and HR, and marketing and HR.
Well, you would say that the other argument is, in any growing economy, business-related subjects come in handy for most organizations. But at the same time, if the private universities were getting into the science stream, then we will not have this congestion in the state universities for people looking for architectural places or pharmacy places or biomedical places and things like that. So
you could spread it out. You could spread it out a bit.
Yes, but it's because the sciences, running the sciences tend to be a lot more expensive. Yeah, because in the UK, for instance, you pay more fees if you are your course is science-based or lab-based or studio-based. You pay more money than those who do the classroom.
So I finished SS and then I walked to Cooper and said, listen, I want to maybe pursue biochemistry. These are my grades. Pick a school for me and then go and start. Will they accept me and my grades from Ghana?
Why not? Why not? You see, the only difference between getting into university here and say the UK is that in the UK, by law, if you haven't studied 13 years of pre-university courses, you cannot be booked onto a degree program.
Wow.
No, you can't.
You must have studied
and
13
so it's
years.
6 years primary, 5 years secondary to O-level, and 2 years at A-level.
A-level or college.
That's for their own citizens. So if you are coming from outside and you are an 11th grader or a 12th grader, which our SS is, then it's like there's a shortfall.
Ah.
And you have to make it up in what people call foundation or access or extended degrees or pre-university courses, just to make up for the shortfall. And it's preparatory and helpful. I always tell people, don't resent it. It's helpful, because in the UK, when you go through that, most degrees are 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
In the US, you do 4 years straight. At university, it comes to the same thing. If you go to Europe, 4 years, so it's the same thing. The British say, call the first year of this, if you have another qualification, foundation or access.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you end up, except for courses like architecture and some others, which takes more than 3 years.
As soon as you talk about education timing, it becomes very political. Assuming SS was 4 years, could you have then just gone to UK and said, I'm coming into university without doing the foundation?
It was being considered when the program started, 4 years. It was. I'm aware that it was being considered, because some institutions called us and asked our views about that.
Okay.
And we said the best thing to do was to let the British Council assess it properly. And I knew that maybe in another 4 years, also when they would have tested the waters, they would have agreed to it. But it didn't happen, so it becomes hypothetical.
Yeah.
It didn't happen, so we leave it at that.
But once upon a time when we also did O-level and A-level, then you could seamlessly just join?
Oh yes, still. Even if the fact that you are from Ghana is not the issue. If you hold the right qualification, if you've done A-levels or IB, then it takes you straight to a degree program. If you have the required passes, you go there.
I am for an educational reform. I think we are long overdue to sit back and really overhaul I think we've limited education to purely schooling, just literacy and numeracy. And I think we're due for an overhaul, but you're an expert. I don't know what your views are.
As you rightly say, education cuts across many things. You see, that's why in some parts of the world, the student is given an outline of any topic. The lecturer touches on the surface of it and leaves the students to go and figure out the rest of everything from research.
Mm-hmm.
And now what is not online? Everything is there. So in the process of doing that search, it opens up your mind, and you become, your critical thinking gets sharpened, and you end up churning out good stuff.
This issue you're raising, I've been to classrooms and it's still, what are the fundamentals of this, what are the characteristics of this, and if you don't give back exactly what the lecturer gave you, you're wrong. Even if you gave a different answer and defended it, it's not accepted.
That one I can say is wrong. that one, I won't mince words, because you're not allowing the person. You see, once the person can defend what he or she is putting forward, that's it. You don't say that because I didn't give you that all lawn grass is green, and I say some lawn grass is brown, not because the sun shone on it, but some grass, whether you put water on it or not, is brown. And the teacher hasn't seen brown grass before. I mean, he's definitely not going to accept it. But if it was possible for the student to prove that brown grass exists, then now he shouldn't be stopped. That's what makes education, I mean, broad-mindedness. You know, if you stay in narrow paths, then you won't get anywhere. So.
Well, a little advice for SS people moving into university, since they will by all means be coming through your office. What little advice for them before we sign up?
As I just said, you know, when studying, you look beyond your books. Look beyond everything around you is there for your take. Then, fortunately for us, in our time, the internet and all those things, you know, are there. And learning from other people, you know, interacting, you see, when there's something called study skills, which is rigidly taught in other parts of the world. And that's where they teach you how to use the library, how to take lecture notes, how to do presentations, and then syndicate work with your colleagues. That is learning. I know that when MBA was first invented, let me use the word invented, the whole idea of the MBA was to bring together people of like experience, work experience, into a forum. Then they learned from each other's experience. And so that when they went back, they could go move to the senior levels. But now someone leaves school and wants to do MBA immediately, fine. Some MBAs have been designed for sharp school leavers, but that is designed for them. But to a very large extent, you know, interacting with other people and learning from them and picking their views and looking at your own critically is what makes a big brain.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Elizabeth Son Benjamin. And I told you that if you have a child of school-going age or in university, this interview, they're going to feed off it. Yes. But don't forget to visit Cooper International Studies. Where would they find it?
At Pig Farm Junction.
Pig Farm Junction.
Obasanjo Way.
Olusegun Obasanjo Way.
Yes.
Drop in if you think broadening your horizons outside of our jurisdiction. That's the place to go. My name is Nana Ansah-Quao, and as I always say, thank you very much for watching. Until next weekend that I bring you another personality, thank you very much for watching.